the Ace Hardware temperature check as we get into Zach's list of players and his buckets.
So
with our Ace Hardware temperature check, Zach, visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at www.acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next project. Because you see, the trade market, Zach, is heating up.
Yes, the trade market is heating up. So if the Eagles exercise that trade market, there's a few different categories that they can swim in here. And I'm going to give these to you. And feel free to add names if I don't include them. These names are put together by looking at rosters, reading reports from every NFL team to see who's on the market, who's not on the market. But these are the categories we'll get into. They'll hang up, but let's at least try category.
Okay.
The tier or 2 or 3 below, but still expensive category.
Okay.
The Robert Quinn, you respect the resume, but is that still who he is category?
Okay.
The under the radar pending free agent.
Very funny that Robert Quinn's the only one who has a specific name for
No,
it.
there's other ones too.
Okay.
The under the radar pending free agent category.
Okay.
The Jay Ajayi category. He'll help us this year and potentially start next year. The I liked him in college and 3 years ago category.
Okay, so the Zach Berman category.
Yes, and the Jahan Dotson Buzzy former first round Jahan Dotson Buzzy former first rounder who's fallen out of favor.
So
There's a lot of
the
F's
other
there.
Zach Berman
Yes,
category.
there's a lot of F's there. So
6 and 7 seem pretty similar, but that's neither here nor there.
no, because age has more to do with 6.
Got
and
it,
then
got it.
So there's the 7 is mainly more younger guys.
Oh, okay, got it.
So they'll hang up, but let's at least try. And these are the names.
the big names.
These are the
Your
names
Myles
that you're.
Garretts.
Yeah. So there's 3 guys here, and that's Myles Garrett, Maxx Crosby, Jeffrey Simmons. Okay. Myles Garrett might be the best defensive player in football. I'm assuming the Browns aren't moving him. If they did, we're assuming the price is multiple first round picks.
Right.
You know, I was having this debate with Elliott Shore Parks the other day, and I was like, yeah, this isn't like a first and a third. This is like multiple firsts to go and get someone like Myles Garrett.
Would you trade 2 firsts?
For Myles Garrett, I would. The Eagles were prepared to do that for Jalen Ramsey a few years ago.
I probably would too.
Yeah.
How old is he?
He's probably 27 now. What's he?
28.
28.
Yeah, 2 firsts, a 28-year-old like that makes me squeamish.
He's a little older than, you're right. He's
But
older than Jalen Ramsey
he's
was.
the best
Older than Mike
defensive player in
Fitzpatrick. But yeah.
Yeah.
Premium player, premium position.
He's going to be 29 in December.
Okay. I can see that there. So
I think I don't know.
then the next one, Maxx Crosby. Now, Mark Davis has gone public saying that they're not moving him. Of course, we've heard people say this guy's not being traded, then he ends up getting traded. I don't think the price will be as high as Myles Garrett, but you're still looking at a first round plus to get him. He's been to 3 consecutive Pro Bowls, all pro lists each of those seasons. Jeffrey Simmons.
And he's a guy who Fangio would love because he plays like 90% of the snaps.
That's true. And he's 28, I believe.
I thought he was younger. Sorry, go ahead.
And then Jeffrey Simmons, defensive tackle, Tennessee. He's reportedly off limits in trade.
Crosby's 27.
Okay,
Just
27. Simmons is reportedly off limits in trade talks. The same was once said about A.J. Brown, of course. And same team there. The Titans are a mess. That's not a good team. Jeffrey Simmons, he's one of the NFL's premier interior offensive linemen, and that's a position that the Eagles have historically valued. But I don't think the Eagles have already spent first round picks 2 of the past 3 years on D tackles. I can't see them spending like first round plus on another one here.
Mm-hmm.
So
you think unlikely, but
unlikely, but this is where Howie at least makes the call, right?
Is there, whether you have a player in mind or not, is there another position you think that they would be willing to go for a superstar level player?
The only other position I would say is like a tight end, but it'd be a little messy this year with Goddard. Atlanta's winning games now, but you made that prediction before week 2 that Kyle Pitts is going to be on the Eagles next year.
I did make that prediction. Yeah.
If Atlanta was like 2 and 5 right now, that's a trade I could see the Eagles trying to make.
Yeah, I feel good about that one still.
Yeah. But with the way Atlanta's playing, with the way Pitts is playing, I don't see that happening. The other high profile tight ends, like let's say David Njoku's moved, something like that.
That's interesting. I can see that.
Yeah, but that would be the only other position. I don't think the Eagles go get a corner, go get a safety, go get a linebacker, go get a receiver. So it would really be edge rusher. So then let's go the tier or 2 or 3 tiers below, but still expensive category. And that's Harold Landry III.
Ooh,
Edge rusher,
good one.
Tennessee, 28 years old, double-digit sacks in 21 and 23.
Is it Harold Landry or Landry Harold?
It's Harold Landry,
Got it.
the third. So there have been 2 that preceded him. He missed 20. That's usually how it works. Yes. He missed 2022 with a torn ACL or with an injury. He's on the books for $17.5 million for each of the next 2 seasons. No guaranteed money.
You like this one?
Well, I just think if the Eagles were going to pay for, like, if you're saying, all right, we're not going to go for a past the prime player, and we're not going to go for just like Jannard Avery rotational guy. We want a top of the depth chart player who's in his prime but is not costing you Myles Garrett price. Harold Landry fits that category.
4 sacks on the season in 7 games, had 10.5 a year ago, and then 12 the year before the torn ACL in 2021. Gave Lane Johnson fits.
Exactly. Yeah. Someone who I recall you and Shield both liked him when he was hitting when there was a chance he could hit the free agent market 2 years ago. The Titans re-signed him, but you see the pass rush profile and you like it. Even I think in the past years, the advanced numbers have really looked good for him.
What do you think that would cost? A second?
Probably a second for someone like him.
Be curious.
Now, that's the same money you're paying Bryce Huff, right? So you'd be trading for him, assuming he's on the team beyond the season, as a Josh Sweat replacement.
And I think there's a chance if you're doing something like this, you're trying to flip Huff.
Interesting. Well, Huff, who
you take a loss, but you get a 5th-round pick or something like that.
Yeah, send him back to Tennessee. He went to college at Memphis. Right?
Oh, there you go.
A little bit of a stretch there, but
It's the same state. I'll give it to you.
But
give yourself some credit. That was pretty good.
The Titans are a weird team right now, and there's some more Titans on this list, but they're not particularly competitive. They have a new coach, second-year GM who's clearly rebuilding here.
I signed up on. I was scrolling Twitter during the game on Sunday, and I see that trending in America now. We can get into Elon's terrible algorithm, and it has nothing to do with politics. But Colt Anderson. I'm like, what's going on with Colt Anderson? He's the Titans special teams coach, and the Lions had like 2 huge special teams plays. It's all these people like Colt Anderson needs to be fired. I'm like, oh my God, I love Colt Anderson.
Yeah, I think Callahan brought him over from Cincinnati. Actually,
yeah,
he's the assistant special teams coach there. Yeah. So would you make that move?
I think probably not.
Okay.
I think a second is probably too rich for me.
So if you don't want to pay top dollar, then you're probably looking at the Robert Quinn category, which is
that was the only guy in that second tier category.
Well, yeah, because I'll be honest, I had Chase Young in that category.
Yeah, it's worth discussing.
And I moved Chase Young to I liked him in college and 3 years ago category. Okay. But we can put Chase Young in this category. Chase Young, from the age profile, you like it. From like the athletic profile, you obviously like it. But then you look at it, he's never had more than 7.5 sacks in a season. His pressure rate's never been higher than 14.7%. Now, if you look at pressures this year, and I know you push back on the pressure stat from PFF, he's number 16 in the league in pressures. He was signed on a 1-year deal this year, so if the Saints weren't good, it was thought to be moved. The thing that concerns you here is now last year he was traded this time on deadline day, I believe. Commanders to the Niners for what, a 3rd or 4th last year?
Let me look it up.
And then the Niners didn't re-sign him. So 2 teams have moved on from him. Montez Sweat got a lot more than him a year ago. But he's someone who I loved him coming out, of course. I mean, a lot of teams did. He was the number 2 pick in the draft. A 3rd. He was the number 2 pick in the draft. And you see it, like you see snaps. And we've seen it against the Eagles, both this year with New Orleans and in the past when he was with Washington. He even played the Eagles twice. He played with San Francisco last year. You see snaps where you're like, oh, man, this guy has it all. But you don't see the consistent production. And when you've been in the league, I know he missed 1 year with injury, and then he was slow returning from injury the following year, but never more than 7.5 sacks in a season. You want to see more production from him. So I didn't know whether to put him in the tier 2 or 3 below and still expensive category, or the I liked him in college and 3 years ago category. But for the sake of conversation, let's put him in the tier 2 or 3 or below.
Yeah, and I think you probably don't make that deal.
Do you think he goes for less than he did last year?
Yes.
So you're looking at
almost certainly.
Yeah, a 4th or a 5th.
Yeah.
Maybe even a 5th. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if the Panthers were trading him, it'd probably be a 6th for a 7th.
Wow.
Yeah.
God. Dan Morgan just getting crushed. By
Yeah, I got to
Zach
tell
Berman.
you, the Brian Burns trade was like an affront to my sensibilities.
Yeah.
I felt like because like I was talking about him, I was like, the Eagles should go after Brian
Yeah.
Burns. They should trade a first round pick.
Yeah.
They should pay him. And then I'm like, wait, that's all it costs. I thought it was going to take multiple firsts.
Yeah.
And then all it cost was a high second.
All right, that's going to close the book on the Ace Hardware temperature check.
We all silly like the mayor.